I'm a 17-year-old Fortnite player that's been playing and teaching for years and years, and I know how it feels to be in the exact situation you're in right now. 3 months ago, you were at the exact same skill level you are right now. While you've been making excuses about your ping or blaming your natural talent, the 1% who actually make it pro have been doing what you refuse to do. They understand that real discipline isn't about grinding for 12 hours when you feel motivated. It's showing up every single day, even when you don't want to. If you can't handle the brutal truth about work ethic, you'll stay exactly where you are forever. Most players confuse activity with progress. They think because they're spending time in creative mode, they're improving. They think because they watch the tutorial, they're getting better. But here's what actually is happening. You're practicing without purpose. You're inconsistent with your training, and you have zero system for tracking whether what you're doing is actually working. Today, I'm exposing the difference between fake work ethic and real discipline. I'm showing you the daily habits that separate players who improve consistently from those who plateau forever. And I'm giving you the exact tracking methods that turn random practice into systematic improvement. What does real work ethic look like? Let's start with what work ethic isn't. Work ethic isn't grinding for 10 hours straight and then taking 3 days off. It's not practicing when you feel motivated and skipping when you don't. It's not copying someone else's routine without understanding why it works. Real work ethic is showing up consistently even when you don't want to. It's having systems that work regardless of how you feel. It's prioritizing long-term improvement over short-term comfort. Research on habit formation. Research on habit formation shows that consistency beats intensity every single time. The player who practices deliberately for 2 hours every day will destroy the player who grinds for 8 hours once a week. Why? Because skill development requires consistent neural pathway reinforcement, not sporadic bursts of activity. Here's what real work ethic looks like in competitive Fortnite. You have a specific practice schedule that you follow regardless of your mood. You have clear objectives for practice sessions. You track progress systematically. You review performance regularly and adjust your approach based on data, not feelings. Most players think work ethic means suffering through boring practice. That's not discipline, that's just poor planning. Real discipline means creating systems that make consistent improvement inevitable, even when motivation fails. The difference between disciplined players and everyone else isn't that disciplined players always feel like practicing. They practice because it's Tuesday at 7 p.m. not because they're in the mood. The daily discipline habits that actually work. Now let's talk about the specific daily habits that build real discipline. These aren't motivational concepts. These are evidence-based practices that create consistent improvement. Habit number 1, the non-negotiable practice window. Set a specific time each day for practice and treat it like an appointment you cannot miss. This isn't about finding time, it's about making time. Research shows that people who exercise at the same time every day are 90% more likely to maintain their routine long term. The same principle applies to skill development. Your practice window should be realistic and sustainable. The goal is to build the habit of showing up every day, not to do as many hours once a week. Habit number 2, the pre-practice routine. Develop a 5 to 10 minute routine you can do before every practice session. This might include reviewing your goals for the session, doing a quick warm-up, or setting up your environment. This routine signals to your brain that it's time to focus and helps you transition from whatever you were doing before into deliberate practice mode. Habit number 3, the single focus session. Each practice session should have one primary objective, not 3 objectives, not 5, 1. Maybe today you're working on piece control, maybe tomorrow it's rotations, but never try to improve everything at once. Your brain can only form new neural pathways efficiently when it's focused on one skill at a time. Habit number 4, the progress capture. At the end of each session, spend 5 minutes documenting what you worked on and what you learned. This isn't about writing essays, it's about capturing key insights while they're still fresh. This habit serves 2 purposes. It reinforces learning and provides data for tracking improvement over time. Habit number 5, the weekly review. Every week, review your practice logs and assess your progress. What's working, what isn't, and what needs to be adjusted. This prevents you from practicing the same mistake repeatedly and ensures your training stays aligned with your goals. Habit number 6, the environment design. Set up your practice environment to make good habits easier and bad habits harder. This might mean having your practice routine written down where you can see it, removing distractions, or preparing your setup the night before. Consistency over intensity. Here's where most players get it completely wrong. They think more is always better. They think if 2 hours of practice is good, 4 hours must be 2 times better. This is not how skill development works. Research from cognitive psychology shows that learning follows what's called spacing effect. Your brain needs time between practice sessions to consolidate what you've learned. When you cram all of your practice into marathon sessions, you're actually interfering with this consolidation process. Studies on motor skill acquisition show that distributed practice / spreading your training over multiple shorter sessions is significantly more effective than massed practice / doing everything in one long session. The players who practice 2 hours for 6 days a week will improve much faster than a player who practiced for 6 hours in one day. This is why consistency beats intensity. This is not just about building habits, it's about optimizing how your brain learns new skills. But here's the part most players miss. Consistency doesn't mean you're doing the same thing every day. It means showing up every day to do deliberate practice. Your specific focus can and should change based on your current weaknesses and goals. Consistency also means being honest about what you can sustain. If you can only practice for an hour and a half a day, that's infinitely better than planning to practice for 5 hours and not following through. The goal is to build practice habit that you can maintain for months and years, not just weeks. The research is clear. Players who maintain consistent practice schedules for 90 days or more show significantly greater improvement than those who practice sporadically, even when the people that use this sporadic practice spend more total hours training. Progress tracking methods that actually work. Most players have no idea whether they're actually improving or not. They base their assessment on how they feel, recent tournament results, or their current rank. This is like trying to navigate without a map. You might eventually get somewhere you're going, but you'll waste a lot of time and energy. Real progress tracking requires systematic data collection and analysis. Here are the methods that actually work. Method number 1, skill-specific metrics. Instead of just tracking wins and losses, track specific skills. If you're working on piece control, track how often you successfully execute specific techniques in real games. If you're working on aim, track your accuracy percentages in aim trainers. The key is to measure what you're actually trying to improve. Method number 2, the weekly skill assessment. Every week, spend 30 minutes doing standardized tests of your key skills. This might be doing the same aim training routine, playing the same creative map, or reviewing replays using the same criteria. The goal is to have consistent data points where you can compare them over time. Method number 3, the performance journal. Keep a simple log of your practice sessions and game performance. Note what you worked on, how it felt, and any insights you gained. Over time, patterns will emerge that help you optimize your training approach. Method number 4, video analysis. Record yourself playing once a week and analyze the footage. Look for specific improvements in skills you've been practicing. This is one of the most powerful tracking methods because it provides objective evidence of improvement that you might not notice in the moment. Method number 5, the plateau detector. Track your improvement rate, not just your current skill level. If you're not seeing measurable improvement in a specific area after 2 to 3 weeks of focused practice, that's a signal to change your approach. Most players practice the same way for months without realizing they've actually plateaued. Method number 6, the context tracker. Track not just what you can do in practice, but what you can execute under pressure. There's a huge difference between hitting your edits in creative and hitting them in a tournament. Your tracking system should account for this difference. The key to effective progress tracking is consistency. Track the same metrics the same way every single time. Don't change your measurement methods unless you have to for some sort of reason. Building systems that work when motivation fails. Here's the final piece that separates disciplined players from everyone else. They don't rely on motivation, they build systems that work regardless of how they feel. Motivation is unreliable. Some days you feel like grinding for hours, other days you won't want to touch the game. If your improvement depends on feeling motivated, you'll be inconsistent, and inconsistency kills progress. Disciplined players understand that motivation gets you started, but systems keep you going. They create environments and routines that make good choices easier and bad choices harder. This means that having a practice schedule that's realistic and sustainable. It means having backup plans for when life gets in the way. It means building habits that don't require willpower to maintain. The goal isn't to become a practice robot, it's to create a system that supports consistent improvement over months and years, regardless of temporary fluctuations in motivation, mood, or circumstances. You and your work ethic is the reason that you're not improving. Not because you're lazy, but just because you don't understand what real discipline actually looks like. You're confusing activity with progress, intensity with consistency, and motivation with systems. The players who make it aren't the ones that are more naturally disciplined than you. They've just built better systems. They show up consistently, track their progress systematically, and make decisions based on data rather than their feelings. You can choose to keep doing what you're doing and stay where you are, or you can choose to build daily habits that create inevitable improvement. The question is, are you ready to develop real work ethic, or are you ready to keep pretending that motivation and random practice will get you where you want to go?